enormous respect for each other.
What gladiator has that big striped spear at the neck?
Look, the judges are nodding. Even the Egyptian judge is impressed.
Until recently, you claimed that the Earth revolved around the sun.
Welcome to History Bites. I'm Rick Green. One of the recurring themes that runs through Western history is the struggle between religion and science. It's always struck me as a bit odd when they conflict, because religion and science are both searching for truth and searching for meaning in the universe. Occasionally, science and religion have gotten along quite well, and at one point in ancient Greece, they became one and the same. Remember Pythagoras' theorem, the square of the hypotenuse equals the sum of the square of the other two sides? To you and me, just another math formula. But when it was first discovered, it was a cosmic revelation. Nowadays, religion and science have their own specialty channels. So let's imagine TV had been around in 560 BC, when the three R's were religion, revolution, and arithmetic.
Welcome to 2020. I'm Barbara Walters. Hugh Downs is on vacation this week. Tonight, a story of faith, power, and truth. We all search for answers to the big questions. Well, this man would tell you he has the answer. Pythagoras claims we can explain everything with mathematics. Hard to believe? Not for his growing mass of followers. They formed a secret society based on Pythagoras' teachings. Are they just a number-crunching social club or a dangerous cult?
This is a real-life problem.
He speaks with the rambling banter of a used ox salesman about concepts that most of us wouldn't even understand.
Well, why don't you tell me about it, and we'll see if we can do something about that, huh? He says, okay, I got one wife who's yelling at me about this. I got a second wife who's yelling at me about that. I got her 3 kids that want money for toys, and another 4
But the positive message of his lectures comes through loud and clear, even to the uninitiated. You can have anything you want if you just do the math.
You got one wife and her 3 kids. You got another wife and 4 more kids. You divide that by your wealth. Carry over. The mistress. You got one too many wives, man. Or you need a new wife and another new family. Yes. Question. See, that's the thing. All relations can be reduced to number relations.
And you believe these principles apply to everything, even people?
Well, look at the family relations, man. You've got your first cousins, your second cousin's one's removed. It's all math, baby. All these people are eating and breathing and excreting and performing bodily functions, and that is the key, relations and functions.
But what if someone says to you, I am not a number. I am a human being.
Oh, man. No, people like that don't count.
Tonight, the calculating cult of the Pythagoreans. Who are the multiplying members of this mystical mathematical mob? Is their heavenly hypotenuse a direct line to the truth? And do the figures of these fanatics really add up? I'll talk with a high priest in Delphi who worries that these Pythagoreans are playing with fire and setting themselves up for retribution from the real gods.
Ruler and stylus, 3 drachmas. Harmonically tuned kithara, 40 drachmas. Wooden abacus, 65 drachmas. Equations for the construction of all 5 regular solids, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's Matthew Card.
Pythagoras' discovery and the cult of calculation that it spawned was not an isolated phenomenon. At the time, the Mediterranean was awash in new breakthroughs in science, math, geography, medicine. Some of these were based on solid logic, others were just superstitious hooey. The difficulty was telling them apart.
We have this beautiful temple to pass. But people of Athens, the temple is of no use if no worshippers pray here. I look around this sacred place and it is empty. A few years ago, the religion of Pan was cooking. But now the worship of Pan has gone to pot. You will never understand Pan unless you get a handle on Pan. Come, let's get a Pan handle now. Let's offer up a prayer to the goat god. Oh, Pan, I wish to be your friar, Pan, to put on a show, Pan, though I be sick in my bed, Pan, oh.
The other day I ran into a Pythagorean, you know, and there's a weird religion. Are you kidding? Hey, he told me they worship numbers. I said, so do I. 36, 24, 36, you know?
All right, Davia, you know how we play the game. You start off with 100 drachmas and you answer questions and work your way up to 1,000,000. Here's your 100 drachma question. Which god is lame? Dionysus, Poseidon, Hephaestus, or Gimpy Olympus?
Well, obviously that's C, Hephaestus.
Of course. Of all the immortals who have physical disabilities, Hephaestus is certainly the most lame.
Well, these Pythagoreans are lonely guys. Are you kidding? They're lonely guys, you know? Oh, they spend all day coming up with stuff like hypotenuse and the other two sides, you know? Yeah, I'm telling you, how are you supposed to pick up chicks with words like that, you know? Yeah, you can stand around all day waiting for the word hypotenuse to come up in a conversation, you know?
Why did Hephaestus cut open Zeus's head with an axe? A dispute over a game of cards? A poorly executed haircut? To test his own ability to read minds? Or so Athena could be born through the wound?
The mind-reading one makes sense, but so does the birth of Athena, so can I use my 50-50?
Well, of course. Our computer will eliminate 2 of the wrong answers.
Doesn't that figure? I guess I'll go with D, to allow Athena to be born through the skull crack.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
You got it!
Your discoveries have benefited musicians, astronomers, architects, even people who just like triangles. And all it is based is on mathematics. I find that incredible.
Well, dig, man, it's not that incredible once you accept the fact that all of what we perceive as reality is mathematical in nature.
So everything we see is actually part of some gigantic matrix?
Yes, 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 the matrix. The matrix is everything.
But what is the matrix?
I can't tell you what the matrix is. You gotta find it for yourself, man. You gotta see it for yourself.
Yeah, I went into a Pythagorean bakery. Yeah, I said, how much is pi? The guy said 3.141592. So I said, so no, I don't want the whole pie, you know, just a piece, okay? And he says, it's indivisible. I said, oh, really? Yeah, how come I can see it? Okay, you kidding me?
How could you account for things like emotion and beauty if everything is just a number?
You have to realize that every number has its own personality. Could be masculine or feminine or beautiful, man, or ugly, great tasting, less filling, you know. For example, 10. Boy, there's a babe. That's a gorgeous number. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Oh, man. Doesn't get any prettier than that. But okay, say you got a number like 23. Where is that at, man? It's more than 22, but not quite 2 dozen. I mean, come on, get with it. 23 is a really screwy number. It's one of the troublemakers. You have to keep your eye on numbers like 23.
It's so sweet.
And what about this one? But it's just a number. 23.
When we return, there are some things science can't explain, like love. Around 560 BC, Greek intellectuals were challenging traditional beliefs about nature and the universe. They asked tough questions and came up with interesting answers. They could calculate the length of the hypotenuse, draw circles, measure angles. As they got more cocky with their discoveries, they began to believe they could calculate pretty much everything. But as you and I know, the one thing that never seems to add up is human behavior.
The teachings of Pythagoras sound pretty abstract. What do his followers think of his mathematical musings?
Pythagoras changed my life.
You're a baker.
Yeah. You know, people used to come into the bakery and they'd scream out their orders. They'd say stuff like, oh, give me a dozen hot cross buns, no raisins, a couple of double ryes, sliced no seeds. Oh, it was a madhouse.
And Pythagoras helped you?
Oh, absolutely. He showed me that everything is numbers, even customers in a bakery. That's why I came up with this. Before you get served, you gotta take one of these and wait till I call out your number.
Did Pythagoras' teaching help you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Pythagoras showed me that the only way to spiritual enlightenment is through philosophical and intellectual study. I was like totally into that. And then he told me that the human soul is a self-moving number fundamentally comprised of form, not material substance. I think that's so cool. Then he showed me his hypotenuse, and I was like, oh wow, oh my gods.
And what about you?
Yeah, I wanted the spiritual putrefying and the soul searching or flying with the numbers and the addition and the subtraction and the addition.
You're not here just to meet women, are you?
Yeah. No.
The Olympic Organizing Committee has announced the site of the next Olympic Games, and once again, it's at the Sanctuary of Zeus in Olympia.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, I want to say something here. The Olympic Games is the best 5 days in professional sport, anywhere, anytime. But why is it always got to be in Olympia, huh? I hate that place with all them priests and such and stuff.
Well, you know, the committee examines bids from all of the competing cities and then picks the one that fits the criteria.
Criteria? Yeah, you know what the criteria are, don't you? Yeah, that the place has got to have a sanctuary of Zeus, and it's got to be in Olympia. Ah, come on, let's get the religion out of sport.
It's easy to present this ancient antagonism between Greek gods and Greek math as a struggle for truth between religion and science, but it was also a struggle for power, and that meant it was a struggle for the hearts and minds of ordinary Greeks.
I guess I don't mind so much when they keep it to themselves, but when they start pushing the numbers on the young people, I mean, I've seen a lot of good, decent kids get hooked on the math, eh? They start with the easy problems, right? Then they move right on to the hard stuff. It's bad.
I heard that he gives his disciples private lessons in a cave outside the city. One-on-one lessons in a cave, a math cave? What kind of multiplying's going on here?
You know the way they walk around the town, guarding their little triangles and little charts against their body so no one can see them? Like, I give a about their triangles. Go back to your nerd centre and triangulate my a bunch of geeks.
I don't trust anybody who doesn't eat meat. They're dangerous.
Oh, sorry. No, it's true, man. We don't eat any meat. No. That was a practice I learned from the high priests in Egypt when I studied with them. We also don't eat any beans. You could call us vegetable rights activists.
Now, is there a religious significance to that?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but you know, the temples, man, the temples are so small. There's not a lot of air circulation in there. You get a bunch of these priests full of beans in a room like that. Whew, forget about it.
Now, friends, join me in a prayer to the 30,000 gods we do not know. Our father, or mother, or child, or farm animal, or wild animal, or tree, or rock, or other geographic feature. As you look down at us, or up at us, or across at us, we do ask you bestow your gifts upon us, unless they be pestilence, plague, pustules, pox, poverty, poisoning, or outbreak of psoriasis.
There is supposed to be a sacred truce during the Olympic Games.
Sacred truce? Hey, you tell me what's the point of throwing the javelin if you're not going to get to try it on real people now and then? It's not about distance. It's about hitting your mark. Or Tony, or whatever that guy's name was.
Pray to the gods, review battle strategy, sharpen their weapons, or comb their long flowing hair.
Well, that's an easy one, Regis. The Spartan warriors are known for this. Obviously, they comb their hair. D, final answer.
You're right for 16,000.
Well, this has been in the family for hours.
Now, this is what we call a kylix, or a wine cup. It has two handles here, holding the vessel, you see?
Right, yes, they got the thing on the yeah, I can see
Yes.
that.
And look at the decoration here. You see, we have a man who's actually obviously had a bit of wine in himself, is reclining, enjoying the sound of music or something.
Yeah.
So we turned it upside down, and yes, I thought so. We have here the actual price that was actually paid for this kylix. You see, half an oboe. Do you see that?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah. So it's very difficult to assess the actual value of a piece like this. On the one hand, we have an attractive, well-crafted Greek wine cup from the classical era. It's in superb condition. On the other hand, this is the classical era. So what we have here is actually, in fact, an everyday, brand new wine cup.
Really?
Something that you might just get at a pottery shop for, say, half an oboe.
Ha.
Come on. The key to winning these games is training. That means you live a moral life, you be completely humble, have an impeccable character, kill a pig, and eat plenty of nuts and dried figs.
Animal sacrifice, wine, clay sculpture of the body part you want healed, or grain.
Wine or grain doesn't make sense. The animal sacrifice sounds logical, but I think no. It's got to be C. Clay sculpture of the body part you want healed.
Final answer?
Final answer.
You got it for 32,000.
Even within the Pythagoreans' own ranks, some dissension could be found. We spoke with Eugenus, a member of the inner circle of Pythagorean followers known as the Mathematicoi.
We are the true disciples of Pythagoras. We are taught by Pythagoras himself, and we follow a strict code of secrecy and loyalty to the society. We are not any of those fly-by-night fair-weather mathematicians that those acousmatics are.
We believe in Pythagoras' philosophies, but that's, pretty much as far as it goes.
That's it.
We come home to our families and we eat meat.
Meat, good.
We certainly don't give up all of our personal possessions. I mean, we are not brainwashed.
Is that what he said? Huh. That should tell you enough right there. Obviously, they don't get it. If everything has no material substance, then what's the point in owning it? The only real thing is numbers. Pythagoras gave me something they'll never have. My own personal number.
91.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a beauty, isn't she?
Did you know that when you join the Mathematicoi, you're not even allowed to speak for the first 5 years you're there?
No, not allowed to speak at all.
I mean, what if you have a question?
A lot of people look at her and think, oh, a prime number. But she's not.
7 times 13.
That's right. 7 times 13.
Coming up, more salvation through equations. The ancient Greek gods were a bit different from most of our modern versions of the Divine Almighty. Zeus and his 300 fellow gods behaved like people. Naughty, weak, vain, selfish people. Greek gods were like one giant ongoing soap opera. No wonder when Pythagoras came along with his theory that the universe was based on predictable laws of mathematics, some people were very disappointed. I mean, which church would you rather attend? Our Lady of the Hypotenuse or our sexy goddess of the Bacchanalia?
Hephaestus conceived his son Erycthonius by drooling on Aphrodite's elbow, sneezing on Hera's hip, dropping his seed on Athena's leg, or bleeding on Artemis's underwear.
Well, Hephaestus may be lame, but I don't think he's much of a drooler. He could have sneezed on Hera, but her being the queen of the gods and all, you'd think you would have heard about it. Dropping his seed on Athena's leg does seem possible. She's a great-looking goddess, and Hephaestus is very excitable. And I know Artemis is a huntress and the outdoors type, so I doubt she wears any underwear, so I'll go with C, dropping his seed on Athena's leg.
You're right! Hephaestus took one look at her godly gab and just lost it.
Everything can be expressed as a whole number or a ratio of two numbers.
Yeah, that's right, 2 whole numbers.
Why does it have to be
Because whole numbers are the only numbers there are. There are only whole numbers.
But a large fraction of people disagreed. We spoke to a former mathematicoi who wished to be known only as Deep Six.
I couldn't believe it. Then this thing happened with my friend Hippasus, and I had to get out. The whole philosophy, our whole lives were whole numbers. 1, 14, 72. Gotta be whole numbers. Pythagoras would always say, everything can be expressed as a relationship of whole numbers.
Did you agree with him?
What was the difference? I wasn't allowed to talk, but there were others who had doubts.
Was Hippasus one of those people?
Paces was one of the good ones. Good man. It's a shame what happened to him, but you know, it's like they say, just because you're good at math, it doesn't mean you know how to swim.
The first rule of math club is you don't talk about math club.
But Hippasus did talk about it.
Yes.
What did he say?
He said that he'd found something that couldn't be expressed as a relationship between two whole numbers, something in Pythagoras' own theorem. Well, if word of that had gotten out, all their work would have come under question. The whole society could have been brought down. I believe that's why Hippasus died on the water that day.
Was that something he discovered? The length of the hypotenuse itself?
Oh boy, I hope you can swim.
2,000 years after the cult of Pythagoras, astronomer Galileo Galilei wrote that mathematics is the language of the universe. The discoveries of those Greek pioneers and the resulting spin-offs in architecture, navigation, and astronomy helped make their civilization the most advanced in the Western world. The geometric laws they discovered are still used today. Alas, the Greek gods would only live on for another 1,000 years or so, renamed and revamped by the Romans and then consigned to mythology. Apparently, even for gods, mathematics is a killer, and history bites.
Hockey's a sport that was meant to be played in the nude.
But injuries like the one that happened to Baratus are taking place more and more frequently.
Look, when you play a game with a hooked wooden stick where you try to whack the ball away from your opponent, sometimes you're going to end up whacking away at your opponent's...
Yeah, but these type of injuries...
Let's face it, this game of hockey, young muscular men and boys, flexing and straining their sweaty, well-oiled bodies. I tell you, it's hot, hot, hot. Outdoors in the sun like that, so who wants to put on another layer of clothing? Why are you looking at me like that?